Hello, my friends, and welcome to At Home with Gigi. I'm Gwen. I'm so happy to have you here today, and I cannot wait to share with you these 5 patriotic DIYs that you can make for Memorial Day or for the 4th of July. And I really think that you're going to love these because they're just really easy to make, and most of the items that I'm going to be using came from the Dollar Tree. A few of the things I gathered up from around my house, and I will let you know what those items are. And I'm going to show you how you can pull it all together at the end in a festival table setting for your picnic that we get to have this year with our friends and family, and I think that is so wonderful. Yay! But I really think that you will enjoy these, so I hope that you'll stick around and let me know at the end which one was your favorite. Comment down below, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And with that being said, let's get started. For this first DIY, we're going to be making coasters, and you're going to need 4 wooden pallets from the Dollar Tree, and you can get those in their crafting section. And we're going to use napkins. I'm not going to use the USA ones. I end up only using the flag, but you can use scrapbook paper or whatever you have on hand. I just like the flag. And I'm going to use Mod Podge to adhere this piece of cardboard that I've cut down to fit the pallets to it. If you're going to use them as a coaster, then you really want to use waterproof Mod Podge. I just was out, and my local Walmart has been out for weeks, so I'm just using regular Mod Podge here to get my project completed. But again, I would really use the waterproof, and I am just putting down a good layer of the Mod Podge, and then I'm going to smooth out this little piece of cardboard. I originally tried to attach the napkin straight to the pallet, but it did not look good at all, so I went back and changed it, and this little piece of cardboard worked great. You just put a really good layer of Mod Podge again on top of this piece of cardboard, and then you're going to place your napkin on top of it, and I just get it placed on there how I want it to look, and then after it dries I will go back and trim it up. Just make sure whenever you're laying it down that you don't pull too hard, because I have pulled that bottom layer of the napkin off and it's really thin, and I did tear one of these and had to go back and redo it. So I would just smooth very gently, but it's just really fast and easy to do. Once you get the hang of it, just smooth it out, and then you're just going to set it aside and let it completely dry. I wouldn't do anything to it seriously until it is completely dry. And then as you can see right here, I'm just going to, I used my little scissors and I went around and trimmed around the edges. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I like to use sandpaper, really fine grit sandpaper. This came from the Dollar Tree. And I just go all the way around the little palette, sanding away from the edge, not inwards, but outwards. If you sand inwards, it's going to tear your napkin. But if you just go all the way around, it gives you such a clean, smooth finish. It might take a couple of extra minutes, but to me it's way easier than using those scissors to trim all the way around and get really close to make it look nice. And then I didn't show it, but I went back and put another layer of Mod Podge on top just to seal it in really well. And this is how it looks using it as a riser for a candle. And I also, again, if you're going to use it as a coaster, I really would highly recommend sealing it with waterproof Mod Podge. But these were so fast to make it. If you count the drying time, it took maybe 30 minutes total to make all 4 of them. For this project, we're going to use 3 of the Dollar Tree vases. We're going to use 1 of their signs that says USA, and I'm using some burlap ribbon that came from Walmart, I believe. I'm just using what I have in my stash, and I'm cutting 3 strips of this ribbon to fit around each of the vases. And then this ribbon is wired, and I don't want it to have the wired look. I want it to have that frayed look around the edges. So after I cut these strips, I'm going to go in and using my wire cutters, remove that wire from the ribbon and just pull it out, and then that's going to loosen up that edge along the strip of ribbon there, and I'm just going to pull that loose and it'll give it a frayed look, and that is the look that I'm going for. If you have burlap that's not wired, then you don't have to do this step, or you can just use regular ribbon, or you can leave the wire in, whatever you prefer. But I wanted that frayed edge look, and this is what I'm doing to get that look. Just be careful here, this wire is a little bit sharp, that you don't cut your fingers when you're doing this. And then just go around along the edges. It'll take you a second or two to do this, but I really like the look that it gave me. And then I'm just going to hot glue each of these strips around the ribbon. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, trying to get it in the center there. And if you want it to be permanently attached, you can use some E6000 or some type of glue adhesive you can get from Dollar Tree. I'm using hot glue because I tend to like to reuse my projects whenever I'm changing out my decorations, but that's up to you. Just be careful here that you don't burn your fingers pressing that down, because it can seep through. That glue gets pretty hot, and I'm just doing this to each of the 3 vases. And just make sure that you pull off your hot glue strings, because that's a dead giveaway. It's a homemade project. I'm just going to cut each of these stars. I'm going to cut them apart, and I'll reuse that flag for later, but just pull that ribbon off of the back and as much of that paper as you can, or if it doesn't bother you, you can just leave it on there. And then I'm just going to hot glue each one of them to the front of this vase, right over that strip of ribbon, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it there, trying to get it in the center, and just use a good amount of hot glue there in the center, or rather on the back of your star, and just press it down and hold it in place there until the glue has time to set up. And if you can't find this particular sign at the Dollar Tree, I believe you can get stars at Hobby Lobby and at Walmart. You can just paint them whatever color, and then just pick up a packet of the poster board letters at Dollar Tree, and then just create your own stars. And if you don't like the glitter, you're always welcome to sand it off and repaint it, but the glitter doesn't bother me. And here I'm just using a variety of flowers and greenery that I had on hand, and I believe this is called thistle. I got this from Walmart a few weeks ago. I'd seen it and I was like, oh, that is so cute. I've never seen those before. And I'm just mixing in some white daisies that I had for a couple of years. And I thought that was just so pretty for the red, white, and blue look that I want with this. And this is greenery that I'm recycling from a spring project. And some little red flowers that I have picked up from the Dollar Tree. And I placed Spanish moss down in the bottom of my vase here. If you want to use a piece of floral foam, you're more than welcome to do that. I just had this moss on hand and I just put some there, and I'm going to add a little bit more right here because I want my flowers to set forward a little more. I'm using red, white, and blue flowers here, but really you could use whatever colors that you wanted. This is just what I wanted to go with, and I just repeated this in all 3 of my vases, and I really like how they turned out. I think they are really pretty. And I'm displaying them here with my little gnomes, and they are the 2 little gnomes I recycled from Easter and just switched out the hats from the bunny ears to the little patriotic hats, which also came from Dollar Tree. For this project, we're going to be using one of these wreath forms that I picked up from the Dollar Tree, and 2 of the scarves, and those come from Dollar Tree also. And I'm just going to begin with removing all of this tinsel off of the wreath, if you want to leave it on there, that's fine. That's strictly up to you, but I want to wrap it with the 2 scarves that I have right here. And usually this stuff comes off really easy, but for whatever reason, this tinsel was really stuck on there. So just, if yours is like that, just be careful that you don't pull so hard that you break your wreath, because it is plastic. And then I'm just taking one of the scarves and I folded it in half, then I folded it in half again because it's so thin. I didn't want that plastic to show through. And then I'm just folding it over the back of the wreath there and then gluing it down really well to make sure it stays attached. Guys, this project is just so simple and easy. You could use deco mesh, you can use ribbon, just whatever you have on hand. You don't have to go out and buy anything specific to make this wreath. And if you can't find these wreaths that have the tinsel on it, you can always use one of Dollar Tree's metal wreath forms. It would work just as well. But if you are a crafter and you can find these little wreaths with the tinsel, I would suggest getting them and stocking up on them. I believe I got 4, maybe it was 5 of them, and I'm going to keep them put up and use them during the fall and holidays, because they would be perfect for making little wreaths. Just make sure that you're gluing that end down really, really well. And that little tab right there that you see sticking up, I had originally left it on there to hang up my wreath, but the scarf just would not lay down very well around it. So you can see here I went back and snipped it off. And no, I'm not raking that into the floor. I have a trash can right there at the end of the table. And then I'm just going to do the same thing with this scarf. Just keep wrapping it all the way around till you get to the end. As you finish it off here, just make sure that you've got it pulled as tightly as you can and pull it up through the center to cover that little opening, and fold it under at the back, and then just add your hot glue and make sure it's glued down to where it's not going to come loose. I think this would be pretty on like a 16 or 18 inch metal wreath form, and place it on your front door. You would need a couple of more scarves in order to make sure it's completely covered. But I think that would be really, really pretty on your front door. And I decided not to go with the little flag. I'm going to use that in a different project that you'll see here in a couple of minutes. But I went with this sign that also came from the Dollar Tree. I'm just deciding here where I want to place it. If you don't want to use a sign, you can leave the wreath as is. I think it's just as cute as it can be like that, or you can make a bow and add that to it. I'm just going to put a generous amount of hot glue on the back here, and then just place it on the little wreath, and then you'll be finished. And this is how it looks with my little truck. I think it is just so cute. It's simple and cute. Sometimes simple is all that you need. Comment down below and let me know, guys. What would you use? The scarves, or would you use deco mesh or ribbon? This little project, I got the idea from a picture that I saw on Pinterest. They had jars that had the picture of the flag on it and little candles inside, and it was going up their steps on their front porch, and I thought it was just so pretty. So I got 3 jars from Dollar Tree, and the flags came from Walmart, and you get 4 in a pack for, I think it was like $1.97. I know it was less than $2. And I just removed the poles from 3 of the flags, and I'm just going to put a generous coating of Mod Podge here on my jar, and then just apply the flag to that. If you don't have Mod Podge, you can always try using the spray adhesive the Dollar Tree carries. I do use that a lot, but I thought with the type of material that these flags are made out of, the Mod Podge might work a little better. But I still had a little bit of a struggle getting the flag to adhere to these jars. I had to go back several times and add more Mod Podge, especially around the edges of the flag. They just did not want to stay down. So if you try this project, you might just want to be aware of that and just know that you're going to have to put a good deal of extra Mod Podge along the edges. And I just went back with my fingers, as you can see here, and trying to smooth it out. And I will go back in a little bit and add another layer on top of the flag. It did not come out perfect, but I thought they came out really cute, and I was really pleased with it in the end. But you do have to work just a little bit to get those edges to lay down for you. And then I'm just going to repeat the same process on all 3 of the jars. And on this one, as you can see, I put a little bit of a thicker coating of Mod Podge, hoping that that would help it to adhere a little better. Again, these are really easy and simple to make. This would be a good craft to do with your kiddos. It doesn't involve a hot glue gun or anything like that. They would have a lot of fun getting their fingers all sticky, because you definitely get sticky with this Mod Podge. But this is how I use them on my little Tablescape. I used 2 of them with candles, and the other one I put some straws in it that I had gotten from the Dollar Tree. It's on my little red tray over there. I thought they were just really, really cute. For this project, I'm using my little white truck that I've had for about 3 years. This came from QVC, and I'm going to use the 2 floral foams that I have placed in the bed of the truck, and I'm just using some leftover greenery that came from Walmart. This is their eucalyptus bushes, and it's already been cut down because I've used it in other projects, and I'm just recycling it here. And I'm just going to fill that foam up. I'm just going to fill it up with this greenery because I want a really wild, lush green look in the back of my truck here. And I love my truck. I decorate this thing every holiday, every season that comes around. And I've had all this greenery laying around and some extra odds and end flowers, and I had picked up a package of the table scatter from the Dollar Tree, and I'm like, I am going to figure out something to do for Memorial Day. And And so I decided to just start placing all this greenery in there and just see where it took me. And I know I say it with almost every one of my projects, but this really is something you can make your own. You don't have to use any specific greenery or any specific flowers. You can just use whatever you happen to have on hand. And I'm also adding in a few little pieces of this wheatgrass, and I believe that also came from Walmart. I got this back in early spring, maybe even the end of February when they had it out. And I thought it was just so pretty. And again, I'm just filling it in with the different flowers that I have on hand. These little flowers came from the Dollar Tree. And unfortunately, I was only able to find just one stem of them, but I thought they were so pretty. I'm telling y'all, this year, Dollar Tree has really knocked it out of the park with their greenery and their florals. I'm just continuing on with my red, white, and blue theme here by adding in these pretty little blue flowers. These also came from the Dollar Tree. I know it's looking a little wild and crazy here from this angle, but just hang in there with me. I promise the end will make sense. But then again, this year, the wild, overgrown flower bed look just seems to be my thing. I am just loving it. I decided to add in this little pick that I got from the Dollar Tree, that I removed it later and went with something else. I was trying to give it a little bit of height, and the little straw on the end, it just did not want to stay in my floral foam. And these are the little red flowers that I also picked up from Dollar Tree. They are not of the best quality. As you can see, some of the little flowers are laying there on the table. I had to keep putting them back together, and a few of them I had to hot glue together. I'm just going to use some bamboo skewers with this table scatter. I could not find my long green floral stems that I get from Walmart until after I finished the project, of course, but I'm just using these bamboo skewers because I just felt that my project needed a little bit of sparkle and shine. You can't create something for Memorial Day or the 4th of July and not have any sparkle and shine. So I wanted these stars in there like it was just shooting out of my flower arrangement. I think I accomplished that. Now I'm just going to attach my flag to this dowel rod that I'm going to cover with the green floral tape from the Dollar Tree, because I don't want the wooden rod to stick out. I want it to blend in with my greenery in the back of the truck. Just keep twisting it all the way down. And I did have to use just a tiny bit of glue at the start of the tape and at the end, because for whatever reason this floral tape did not want to stick to that wooden dowel. And all that's left is just to glue the dowel to the back of your flag. Just make sure you use enough of the hot glue that is going to stay in place. After I kind of eyeball it here and get it in the center, then I go back on each side of the dowel and add a little more hot glue just for added security and stability. If you're going to make something like this and have it outside in the sun for any significant amount of time, you might want to consider using E6000 or something like that to keep it from falling apart. And this is what it looks like, guys, all together with the beautiful flag flying. Looks like it's flying in the wind and the stars just shooting out of the back of the truck. I love how it turned out. Comment down below and let me know what you think.
The roads that lay open are many when the old one's gone under the knife. And
I just love how festive everything looks. I just took a tablecloth from the Dollar Tree and spread it over my picnic table in the backyard, and then just added the items that I had created, and then there's other items from my home, and for a very small amount of money you can have a beautiful festive table setting to enjoy with your friends and family. And I think this year, guys, everybody deserves to have a wonderful Memorial Day with friends and family. I hope you have a safe and blessed Memorial Day. And thank you so very much for being here. I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I hope you'll take the time to subscribe and to give my video a big thumbs up if you liked what you saw. And if you have decided to recreate one of my projects, I hope you'll comment down below and let me know if you've decided to do that, and let me know which one was your favorite. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much for being here.
all that ever was is a rise. Today and not tomorrow.